So not to extend any second more, I would like to present our first speaker, Paweł Skrzypek. He will present the real benefits of multi-cloud. So a few words before about Paweł. He's a highly experienced architect of ICT systems with extensive knowledge of machine learning and big data solutions. He's a chief multi-cloud architect working on cloud computing projects, focusing on multi-cloud and serverless approach. So thank you, and Paweł, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Josefina, for that great introduction. I hope you can hear me well. Let me just share my screen as well. Okay. And I hope that you can see my screen. Yeah, I will start with the introduction now. So why to break out and enter into the multi-cloud world? But after this introduction, Alicia and Marta will show how to break, and it's not as difficult as it looks like. And then at the end, I will finalize with the real benefits and the real use case. Because today we want to show you a practical example. Yeah, so practical real example of the business application which is used in the multi-cloud and hybrid environment and has a lot of the benefits of the breaking out of the single cloud provider and entering the multi-cloud world. First reason to break is, of course, money. Yeah, it's obvious. It's let's say not high level idea, but it's a very concrete idea, and from the point of view of AI investments, the application which I will present, it is very important to save cost of the cloud computing. And AI investments is saving a lot of money thanks to using the multi-cloud approach. The second thing is independence. You are not vendor lock-in with the single cloud provider. You can move your application, move your data. There were many outages of the leading cloud providers, and for the financial applications, especially in the investments area, but not only, the high availability, having the other alternatives is very important. So that's the second reason to break out. And last, but of course not least one, is the competition. All of the cloud providers are developing their services very fast. Some of them are very good in one area, others are very good or just simply cheaper in another area. So the best approach is to use the best of breed, so to take the best things from all of the cloud providers, and that's the reason to use the multi-cloud. So that's the reasons, and I will stop there, and now Marta and Ala will show how to go into the multi-cloud, and finally I will tell you what are the benefits. Thank you for this part at least.
Thank you very much, Paweł. So now I will present our next brilliant speaker, Marta Różańska. She will present multi-cloud architecture and optimization. A few words about Marta. She's a PhD student at University of Oslo, as well as researcher at Seven Bulls. She has been working on cloud computing optimization for both commercial and research projects for over 4 years or more. It is also a topic of her PhD thesis. Marta leads the development of the proactive adaptation feature in ongoing Morphemic project. So Marta, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So let me share the screen now. And I hope you can see the screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So hello, I'm Marta, and today I would like to show you the way to the cloud, and to be more precise, to the multi-cloud world. I assume you already know what the cloud computing is, and you also know what are the greatest benefits of using cloud. Paweł just reminded it very well. So I will not focus on convincing you to start using cloud computing in general. I will focus on benefits of multi-cloud approaches, and after that, Alicia will show you the best tool for managing and optimizing your cloud applications. So there are basically two options for application deployment infrastructure, cloud or on-premise, which means bare metal server. Both approaches have some pros or cons. The biggest advantage of the cloud is the fact that the pricing model is constructed in a way pay as you go, which can be not a big amount of money at the beginning, especially when we start our new product, which we are trying to imagine during my presentation. And it can be a good solution when the need is unpredictable. So you pay as you go. So if you can't predict the need for your services, the amount of virtual machines, the amount of machines, it's the cheapest and the easiest way. It's possible to use cloud in many ways. Here are the most popular options. So infrastructure as a service, which offer services such as pay-as-you-go storage, networking, and virtualization. It gives users cloud-based alternatives to on-premise infrastructure, so businesses can avoid investing in expensive on-site resources. So you can buy what you need as you need it and purchase more as your business grows. Another option is platform as a service, where you can pay for the virtual environment like hardware and software tools available over the internet. People, usually developers, use these tools to develop applications. And when using platform as a service, you don't need to start from scratch when creating applications. It saves a lot of time and money on writing the extensive code. Last from the most popular possibilities is software as a service, where you can use services that are simply offered over the internet, usually for a monthly or other subscription fee. So these SaaS providers also offered out-of-the-box solutions that are simple to set up. If you need a basic package with more complex solutions for a larger organization, that's probably one of the most popular ways of doing business these days. So probably you have already thought and chose cloud. So just to mention, sometimes it may be valuable to consider buying your own infrastructure. For example, if you do the machine learning training and use GPUs, they are pretty expensive in the cloud, and it may be cheaper to do the basic training on-premise and use cloud for higher demand. Such example of hybrid deployment will be shown in the end by Paweł. So for now, let's go cloud. When you grow, you need quick scaling. When one blogger posts a tweet with your product one day, the interest can increase rapidly and you need to be prepared. You probably want to be prepared because this moment can never happen again. So the ability to scale the infrastructure immediately and the high availability are the biggest advantages of the cloud. This is the reason why the usage of cloud services grew 60% in last 3 years, and it is expected to grow even more. There are many examples of startups that have caught the momentum because being in the cloud from the very beginning. For example, Pokemon Go. You probably know or remember this game. Their popularity exceeded 50 times the expected traffic. And they were able to handle this because they were in cloud. They had a huge success. What is more, on this chart below, you can see that this big growth of popularity took only 2 months. Even if they had been able to predict the tremendous success and they had bought the infrastructure to handle this, they would have overpaid because it took only 3 months. And after that, this infrastructure was not necessary. So probably Pokemon Go bills to the cloud providers for these 2 or 3 months were quite huge, but after that period, they are not paying and maintaining the redundant infrastructure. They had their momentum, they earned their money, and we all remember the name of this application because it was responsive and performance well always. You probably also know the cases where the product was not really ready to grow, and many web shops are always not ready for Black Friday. As an example, J.Crew, American multi-brand retailer, had technical difficulties which have lasted 5 hours during Black Friday 2019. It impacted 312,000 shoppers and cost the company around $700,000 in sales. And don't think that it didn't happen last year. Even the best retailers like Walmart experienced website crashes during last Black Friday. So they were not in cloud or they did it wrongly. And we'll tell you more what wrongly means later. We all want to avoid this. So we're now together in cloud and we can sleep safe, can we? After some time, when the product is mature, being in the cloud may not be so comfortable anymore. The cost of the cloud infrastructure is bigger and bigger. The company is starting to be tied to the one cloud provider, and there is a need to rely on its prices and availability. It may be too costly for you as the application owner to move to another cloud provider, and you may not have the human resources and human experts to do that. The statistics show that many business owners estimate that the critical part of their application is the fact that their data and computing is located to one cloud provider. What you can see on the diagram is that the blue parts are the most critical. So these two, red are moderate risk and green are low risks. And business owners are afraid of data breach and cyber attack and the failure to provide agreed service level agreements with cloud providers. The next, the most popular afraid is having the data locked into one cloud provider. So what to do with that? The cloud providers often launch new services and change their prices frequently. So you may find that cost increase or better deals become available elsewhere. If you are locked into a single provider, you will not be able to easily take advantage of better opportunities in other cloud provider. This is the reason why it is good to be multi-cloud ready from the very beginning. It might be useful to use specific cloud services from one cloud provider, but it's important to remember that the more you tie, the harder it will be to escape. If you choose a multi-cloud approach, your organization retains the power, not the cloud vendor. You have a better position to negotiate the prices and the pricing with cloud provider. And if you adopt the multi-cloud approach from the start, your developers can also create apps that will work on multiple platforms, giving you maximum flexibility to take advantage of the best prices and capabilities of different platforms. That's why the multi-cloud approach is more and more popular. IDG survey about cloud computing found that more than half of respondents use multiple public clouds. 30% used 2 and 10% used 3. And even 11% use more than 3 cloud providers already. And the latest Flexera State of the Cloud report concludes that 92% of enterprises have a multi-cloud strategy and 80% have a hybrid cloud strategy. So we can say that the cloud is the present, but the multi-cloud is the very nearest future. What are the advantages of multi-cloud? Firstly, as Paweł mentioned before, the ability to cost and performance optimization. If some cloud provider becomes unavailable or more expensive, we can simply move our application to another cloud provider. Secondly, it's possible to customize the cloud to business requirements. So use best services from many cloud providers. Sometimes it can be more suitable location or region. Sometimes it can be some service or virtual machine type that is specifically best from one cloud provider. The next advantage is the fact that using multi-cloud, we can avoid vendor lock-in. Many organizations opt for multi-cloud because they want to avoid being tied to a single cloud provider, as we discussed previously. Multi-cloud can also mitigate risk from potential cloud outages, and the outage of any one cloud platform is less likely to harm the business overall when we follow multi-cloud approach. And you know, it looked impossible to have an outage of main cloud providers, but in recently we experienced significant outages of major cloud providers. So this point that the mitigation of the risk from potential cloud outages because of multi-cloud approach is still valid and very important. Last but not least, in multi-cloud environment, we can make a dynamic cross-cloud autoscaling. So not autoscaling among one provider, but among all possible cloud providers. So I think now we all agree that multi-cloud seems promising, but it's not very easy to implement this approach. It's important to remember that each cloud provider has a specific API, and if company wants to move to multi-cloud, the IT team has to learn multiple clouds, which can cost more than learning a single cloud. What is more, every cloud provider has a simple scaling tool, and it's not clear how to use it in the multi-cloud environment. So it's not possible to use it for cross-cloud scaling. It has to be done by another tool. These are the reasons that together with multi-cloud strategy, multi-cloud management tools are being intensively developed these days. And on the bottom of my slide, you can see some of the products that were developed even by cloud providers to allow multi-cloud management. And we would like to discuss in details the last one, so the Melodic, developed by 7Bulls, and it will be discussed further by Ala. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marta. Thank you. So our next speaker, Alicia Rimevich. A few words about Alicia. She's a full-stack developer in technologies related to web applications like Java, Spring, Angular, code integration and maintenance, use of cloud services, also in programming. Alicia is presenting the Melodic solution in various conferences to potential customers. So Alicia, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Josephine, for introducing me. And now I would like to share my screen. Okay, I hope you can see it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. In my part of our meeting, I would like to focus on Melodic, multi-cloud management platform. It can be seen as a middleware between the application and cloud provider. It allows for multi-cloud application deployment. It is open source, and we have arguments for claiming that this solution is unique, and that is the reason that I want to tell a few words about it. What are Melodic key features? Melodic considers offers from different cloud providers, calculates the best cloud environment for application, and deploys the application automatically. It supports the deployment in OpenStack providers, AWS, Google Cloud Platform, Azure, Octawave, and One-Step Cloud. Moreover, during the application execution, Melodic collects data about the current state of application and manages to always have the most optimal environment. For instance, if some cheaper offer is found, Melodic will move your VMs to use it. What is more, it is a very secure tool, and the security is still improving. It has the centralized authentication and authorization of application. What is more, this solution is enterprise ready thanks to high availability and scalability. A significant feature of Melodic is the fact that it is cloud agnostic. All modeling, reasoning, and developing happens without indication and knowledge about the provider. This allows a user to avoid vendor lock-in and makes moving to another cloud provider easy, for instance, in situation of lack of resources. How does Melodic work? Firstly, user needs to create a camel model for his application. I will tell you more about camel in a minute. And set up parameters for the application. After that, Melodic starts the work. It downloads the offers from all cloud providers that user has access. It calculates the best cloud deployment configuration for application and deploys it automatically. The reasoning part is done by solving a constraint optimization problem, maximizing the utility function automatically generated from the camel model. Next, the most optimal solution is being deployed. When an application is ready and working, Melodic starts collecting defined by the user metrics about currently running configuration. If the better solution appears or actual solution becomes unacceptable because one of the constraints, the reconfiguration is triggered. Melodic on continuous basis looking for better solution for deployment and makes the reconfiguration if newly found solution is significantly better than the current one. It means that it can move application components to another cloud provider, to another virtual machine, add more instances, or whatever Melodic established as the best deployment. Therefore, during the application execution, Melodic manages to always have the most optimal environment. As I mentioned before, Melodic is a complete solution, starting from modeling through profiling, optimizing, runtime reconfiguration, and monitoring. The first step is modeling. To do the modeling of application, we use CAML, which is Cloud Application Modeling and Execution Language. It is a domain-specific and cloud provider agnostic language based on Eclipse modeling framework, and it is similar to Tosca. It covers all aspects of application modeling. It is possible to model in CAML the application components, connections between them, security aspects. Also, it supports various types of application components, script-based, Spark components, Docker containers, and serverless components. All of them can be deployed by Melodic. CAML model also allows for complex infrastructure requirements modeling. And what is probably the most important and unique, it allows for modeling of user preferences called utility function and constraints. It makes the optimization process in Melodic possible. To sum up, CAML is a quite unified and useful way of describing application and infrastructure in the cloud. Now the question is, what is the best deployment? One of the most important features of the Melodic platform is its intelligence. So the ability to find the best cloud application deployment. It is done by using constraint problem models and by maximizing utility functions. Melodic collects metrics containing information about usage of resources and other important for the user information, often business specific. The newest feature of Melodic that is being developed in Morphemic, so in the extension of Melodic, is called the execution context prediction. It means that the application is optimized for future runtime conditions thanks to complex time series forecasting methods and novel optimization techniques. We don't only react on increasing workload. Melodic, together with Morphemic, is predicting it. User preferences usually covers many aspects which are often conflicting. For example, one may want to minimize the average response time to the user and costs. If there are too many requests, there is a need to add more instances, but it will increase the cost, which we want to minimize. That's the reason that there's always a trade-off between cost, performance, availability. In conclusion, the application and deployment workflow with Melodic is very simple. You as a user need to model your application in Camel and install the Melodic platform. Then you just need to submit your Camel model to your Melodic instance, push the big green button to start deployment of the application, and observe. Thanks to the Melodic UI, you will be able to see the reasoning process of Melodic, but you are not expected to do anything more. You can connect, relax, and enjoy your application working. That's it from my side. I hope you found Melodic platform useful and worth knowing more closely. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alicia. Thank you. Okay. So we are coming back to Pavel with the presentation AI Investments and Outcomes Fund, real examples of cloud computing competitive advantage for the investments and hedge fund companies. So Pavel, the floor is yours.
Thank you again. Okay. Let me share the screen. Okay, I hope you can see my screen, and yes, now you know how to break off the single cloud provider and go into the multi-cloud. It looks that it's not a difficult task, and I really like this part by Ala, that's quite relaxing and enjoy your application. But now I want to tell why to do that. What are the benefits and what are the reasons to do that? I want to show the example of the AI Investments, it's a Polish company which built the complete investments platform, and this investment platform is using advanced latest achievements of AI in time series prediction and portfolio optimization to improve the investments results. And yeah, the results are very good. The company is testing live its platform with real money for over 2 years, achieving a very good return through that time with the quite low risk. But today I want to tell why AI Investments is using the multi-cloud approach and what are the benefits. The business problem for the AI Investments is that machine learning models, training and prediction requires a lot of the computing power. We need to use the virtual machines with the GPUs, which are very costly, both if we want to buy it for ourselves as on-premises resources, but also they are very costly if we want to use that in the cloud. On the other hand, to achieve this advantage on the investment market, we need to train a lot of the models, because our assumption is to invest not on the one market, on the one stock or one commodities, but we are currently investing on the 200 different markets, from stocks, bonds, currencies, commodities, indices, and so on. And we train usually over 400 different machine learning models, which are used for forecasting. And we are simultaneously training, retraining, choosing these models, so it's continuous work. We also use the serverless computing for distributed parallel portfolio optimization to make portfolio optimization using Monte Carlo tree search with neural network, and it also requires a lot of power. And of course, last but not least, we are not using the high frequency approaching for trading, but even without that, we need to process over 500 events per second, and we need to make it reliable. So the challenges are important and serious, and to solve these challenges, we have started with the multi-cloud approach. We are using the Melodic platform presented by Alicia and introduced by Marta. So I will just only tell that fact that I'm using that. Very important is that the Melodic itself is open source. You can download and use, as I already mentioned. So what is the business goal of the AI investments? Of course, there are many different business goals, but to keep this presentation simple and clear, let's assume that the business goal is to train 50 predictions models in 1 hour, of course, using as minimal number of resources as possible. So we need to train these 50 models. We have 1 hour, and of course, we want to minimize our cost. So how it looks in practice, it's extremely simple. Investments analyst in AI investments is starting training, submitting the job, and initially the on-premises resources are used because they are already bought, they are available. So the marginal cost of using these resources is near zero. So the training is starting on these resources, but usually these resources are not enough to finish the training in the required time. And Melodic is starting to optimize the usage of the resources. So Melodic is calculating estimated time for the finishing the training. If it's too long, as we can see here, it's initially 3 hours, so way too long, then Melodic automatically adds new resources in the cloud. And even more, Melodic is selecting the most optimal cloud provider and the most optimal type of the virtual machines to achieve the goal. And the training continues. Melodic again trying to estimate how long it takes, and it's still too long, so additional resources are added. As we can see on that, and the training is continuing. And finally, all models are stored in the cloud storage. And at the end, Melodic is removing the cloud resources to save the cost. That's all. That's all. As I said, it's a very simple use case, but there are real benefits. And the biggest, at least from the AI investments point of view, benefit is cost saving. And cost saving is huge, both in terms of the money and in terms of the percentage of the cost. Thanks to this hybrid approach, we have estimated that we can save like 100 $100,000 through the 3 years perspective. Of course, assuming this level of operation, if we will scale up, then the savings will be much higher. The very interesting thing is that both approaches, so here we can see cloud-based approach. So we have one server on premises, and most of the servers are in cloud. It's the most costly approach, but also the only on premises approach. So all servers we have on premises is also not optimal. The optimal is the hybrid multi-cloud approach with the dynamic scaling to the cloud. And as you can see, the benefits are more or less $100,000 of savings. But it's not enough. Yeah, it's just the first benefit. And the second thing is that it automatically gives us the well-chosen scaling of machine learning training. So we can automatically add new workers if needed. We don't need to hard code that, and it supports the multi-cloud deployment. The third thing is that we can optimize the work efficiency in relation to the budget planned and to the business goals. For example, if the training in 1 hour will not give us the business benefits, so we won't earn money on that, then there is no point to speed up that training, and we can train these models on the on-premises infrastructure. It will take longer, but will be much cheaper. And fourth, last but not least, is that increase reliability of the application and give us automatic high availability of the resources. The system you developed by AI Investments is currently using by Luxembourg-based Omphalos Fund. It is used for the commercial operations, for investing capital managed by this fund. So this reliability is a critical thing. Yeah, we can't afford to not for any outage or to not operate. So that's the reason that multi-cloud is a must. Yeah, probably all of you heard about the outages of the AWS, Google Cloud Platform. Same goes for other cloud providers. So in our case, the multi-cloud approach is a must. We have the disaster recovery center automatically built, and Melodic could automatically move the application to another cloud providers in case of the outage. From my point of view, cost savings is extremely important. It was very important in the first phase of the development of the platform. Yeah, we need to save a cost, and thanks to that, we will be able to compete with the biggest companies. But now, even more important, but at least at the same equally important, is the high availability and the need to be able to operate in without any outages. So I hope this benefits shows clearly why that multi-cloud is the only way, and why to use the solution like Melodic to optimize and manage the multi-cloud approach. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pavel. So now is the panel of questions and answers. So it's time for our guests to have any questions to our panelists, our speakers. Of course, You also have the contact to our speakers after each presentation, and this video will be available, as I said, on our Melodic and Morphemic website and social media. But now also it's time for questions. So it seems that our speakers gave you a very clear view of multi-cloud, because we do not have any question and answer, right, in our panel so far. So as I said, it's always possible to do so. So I think that if you do not have any questions, I think that in this moment we can thank you for the presentation, and it's nothing more to say that.
Yeah, there is one question. Sorry, there's one question. Sorry, Josefina, for interrupt you, but there is a question about license, about the cost license of Melodic. Pavel, do you want to answer?
Yeah, and the answer is very simple. Yeah, so the cost is zero. Melodic is open source, distributed on the Mozilla public license 2.0, so you can download and use. If you require some advisory and consulting services, then Seven Bulls can provide that, of course. But the usage of Melodic is free of charge. Please go to the Melodic website, download, and enjoy.
Okay, thank you. So,
Welcome.
questions? Okay, since that it was one question. So just I want to show you that you can visit our websites of Melodic Solution and Morphemic project, which is ongoing project. It's actually powered by Melodic. You can follow our social media and of course stay tuned with us and our webinars. We will inform you soon about our next webinars that we will organize. So if we do not have any questions in this panel, so I think that we can say thank you very much for your presentation. I'm saying now to my to speakers and for all of you to joining our webinar, and of course our participation, and stay tuned with us regarding our webinars.